The Lion King. Cool facts about how the movie was made. The 1994 animated movie set tears in the eyes of every child, and mainly almost all viewers. Now, Disney really knows how to integrate the moments into our hearts. Maybe it's the colors of the film, or the way the animals are drawn and colored, or maybe it's because it's an awesome movie. Well, the original version of the movie met a high success rate, and people couldn't get enough of the movie, that it even encouraged the film director to produce the movie again. Another Lion King, that's right. This 2019 animated movie stole our year and our hearts. If you're interested in knowing how the movie came to be as it is, please keep watching. Number 1. They filmed The Lion King inside a VR video game. Now that's a first. The movie was actually filmed in a video game that was designed to look just like the iconic setting from The Lion King. Director Jon Favreau and his fellow filmmakers put on VR headsets to scout the in-game locations and line up shots, then programmed the animal characters to perform according to the script. Once they got everything just right, they filmed each scene and sent it to a visual effects house to finalize it for the big screen. Favreau used virtual reality technology to walk around the virtual set and design shots, treating it like a real location. Who would have ever known? Hats down to Favreau. Number 2, they took a trip to Africa to study animals. They say that the best way to achieve something is to actually master all of its aspects. And in order to master something, you can go to the extremes. And Favreau took it to the extreme. Favreau took a 3-week trip to Kenya with his team to study animals in their natural habitat. This research gave them first-hand perspective on how the animals behaved while they were running, lounging, eating, sleeping, and interacting with one another. They were then capable of understanding how they could make the movie more lifelike. But it wasn't only good for them. The trip was especially eye-opening for animation supervisor Andy Jones. It was quite fascinating to me because I'd only seen these animals in zoos, and to really see them in their own environment and get a feeling for how they do roam around each other and how they react around each other. Especially the lions, the big cats versus the prey animals. We learned a lot about behaviors and different things that we're going to try and bring in this film, Jones told us. Number 3, the actor performances were reflected in the animation. As viewers, or the audience to be exact, we get to see the different bloopers of the movies and those funny moments. But we got more than just the bloopers for this movie. We were shown the black box, as where the actors would gather to perform a scene. Rather than just have the actors record their parts individually, Favreau also had them act them out together. And the animators then used their performances as inspirations for the characters. The actors were given some space to move around and interact, rather than just have them read the lines in the VO booth. And camera ready as they always are, while performing, the cameras would capture their performances so that the animators could incorporate certain nonsense in the final product. The filmmakers decided that adding human expressions to the animal faces would look weird, so they tried to convey emotions more through body language. We're able to bring some of the actors together, where they have a scene together and actually have them be off book a little and get some eye contact patterns and certain things that we can use for their performance of the animals, Jones said. The actors really are driving these characters a bit, which is nice. Number 4, some of Timon and Pumbaa's scenes were improvised. It's no surprise that most of the script lines were taken from the original. It would only make sense to have the original script when watching a movie based on an original. But when it came to the comedy scenes, they were given more freedom and less restricted to the original script. Well, comedy took a turn in the age, so why not change the modern movie to walk the runway of comedy? It may not come as a surprise that when comedians Billy Eichner and Seth Rogen got together to act out their scenes as Timon and Pumbaa, they came up with some off-the-cuff jokes that were too good not to use. We did have good black box sessions with them where they really start to improvise a lot, Jones said. I think Seth embodies Pumbaa really well, in terms of the actor, his voice, the tone, and how he performs it. There's a certain level of charm and innocence to his performance that actually is working really well for Pumbaa. And likewise with Eichner and Timon, he's got this kind of sarcastic approach that's working really well too. Number 5, they had to be careful depicting violence. Well, it's a movie about lions, so it's no surprise that there's going to be some violent scenes. But here's the thing. The end scene between Scar, his hyena clan, and Simba took a new route when it came to refilming the scene, as they claw, bite, and otherwise try to maim each other. Depicting such a sequence in live action meant the animators had to be cautious not to make it too realistic. It was easier, and the original film was animated and they could do slow motion. It softened some of the impact and stuff because it's a cartoon, Jones explained. For the live action Lion King, the more realistic we make it can become gory or something you don't want to watch and you don't want to bring your kids to. So we had to be really careful with where to draw the line and how much we show. Camera work is a big part of that, to make you think you saw more of a fight than you may have seen or just more violence than you might have seen. Number 6. Recreating the elephant graveyard was especially challenging. Of all the settings in The Lion King, recreating the elephant graveyard was especially challenging because the heightened stylization of that animated sequence was at odds with Favreau's philosophy of essentially making the movie look like a National Geographic animal documentary. The elephant graveyard scene obviously has tremendous roots and in the original film. Such a powerful image, these big bones and cubs kind of sliding around on the tusk and things like that. And yet to imagine delivering that in a documentary style, I think that's an example of a world where if we literally provided these huge bones and all this stuff in the same volume that it was just in the animated film, I think you'd be pulled out of the experience. Production designer James Chinlund explained. That meant making key changes to the scene, like removing Simba and Nala's cartoony slide down a set of tusks and basing it off of a real-world location, a sulfur hot spring in Ethiopia called Lake Abyei. The idea is that over time, elephants and things got trapped in this pool, sort of like the tar pits or something like that. So you'll see a lot of bones, and the hyenas have decided to occupy this part of the world because as scavengers, there's good pickings out there, Chinlund said. Number 7, they had to calculate how far Simba ran away. When we watch a movie, we don't really care how far off a person ran away from home or how many miles it took the kitty to find a way back. But the case differs here. How far did Simba go when he ran away from home? It's a question that many have perhaps wondered, but given how Chinlund was tasked with recreating the world of the Lion King in realistic fashion, he actually had to calculate it out. I remember watching the original Lion King movie and never could figure out how far Simba ran away for him to grow up independently. How far away did he actually run? Chinlund mused. I loved the first film, but geography was a huge problem for me on that movie. It's an animated movie, so they used the available slipperiness of illustration to change scale. Pride Rock changed shape and scale throughout the movie, so I don't think it was their intent to deliver like a tight geographical space, but it did frustrate me as a designer. And so Chinlund set out on building a world map to answer the question. They decided that Simba was out there 3 or 4 days crossing the desert before he wound up on the shore of Cloud Forest. So, if a cub travels about 12 miles a day, Chinlund gives the rough estimate of 50 miles.